you could say that I've been lucky. Well, I guess you could say that it's all because of you. If anyone should ever write my life story, for whatever reason there might be, oh, you'll be there between each line of pain and glory. 'Cause you're the best thing that ever happened to me. Oh, you're the best thing that ever happened to me. There have been times when times were hard. I somehow made it. I made it through. For every moment that I've spent hurting, there was a moment that I spent just loving you. If anyone should ever write my life story, for whatever reason there might be, oh, you'll be there between each line of pain and glory. 'Cause you're the best thing that ever happened to me. Oh, you're the best thing that ever happened to me.
If I can call Uncle Jay to open us up with a word of prayer, please.
Amen. Let us pray. Father, we just thank you today. Father, we've gathered as friends and family. Father, we just thank you that your presence is here. In your word, it says that your spirit's among one and two are gathered. And Father, today we celebrate the life of your servant, Anotu Tama. Father, we just thank you for the blessing, the legacy, the life he's lived. And we thank you for all the friends that have come here and the family to unite under the banner of faith and love. Father, we open the service to you. We open the spirit of encouragement, a time of reflecting, a time of laughter, a time of renewing even our faith, Father, as we stand before you, Father, here today. We thank you, Lord, that you have gone ahead before us here tonight to lead us in your spirit. And we welcome your spirit here tonight, Father. We pray for those who couldn't make it here tonight as well, Lord. But Father, we just thank you for who you are. We thank you for your glory. We thank you for your blessing. We thank you for everything you've done in our lives and in Manoa's life and his life and his family as well, Lord. Father, we give you all the glory here tonight. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Check. Well, kia ora everybody. For those who don't know me, my name's Joran Tuitama. I'm Uncle Mano and Auntie Karen's nephew and Keely's first cousin of her many older cousins. And I just wanted to welcome everyone here tonight. Just knowing this guy, we want to do our best as nephews to celebrate his life and to remember him and all the cool memories and hidings and all those sorts of things that we got to share with him. So hello to everyone. Kia ora.
Hi everybody. I just want to get all the seriousness out of the room for now because according to Keels, us to have like a kick back, relax and just a celebration of Manoa's life. So my name's Marvin, the eldest grandchild of all the nieces and nephews, and I just want you to kick and relax.
That is correct, Marvin. I just want you to give us a little woo if you hear something familiar. So all our family and friends from New Zealand. Nice.
Do we have any Parramatta?
Nice. How about some Penrith fans? We got Penrith. Nice. Okay.
All right. Do we have anybody from Australia? Yeah. If you can make your way outside the door, and we'll see you later.
Sorry about last night.
Yeah, but I wanted to make this special day for Uncle and just relax and then enjoy as we celebrate Uncle Manoa's life. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Tārawha lava. I'm Manoa's eldest sister, so I'm the oldest, yet look the youngest. I just introduce my family, my husband, and he sent his condolences to everyone. This is my eldest son, Marvin, and his beautiful wife walking away. Come back now. This is Darcy. This is his beautiful wife. Manoa was able to come to their wedding in 2018. He wasn't really well, but him and Keels and Karen, they made it because these two were special. You know. This is my baby. His name's Stephen, after Uncle Stephen, and he's 20 years old. He's at uni.
Hi, everyone. God is awesome. You better tell somebody.
God is awesome.
Tārawha lava, everyone. Mama mentioned the youngest. My relationship with Uncle was centered about life. He always spoke life, and he always talked about like my career and music, and he was just so interested in what I was doing. I wanted to like travel and go teach overseas. That's exactly what Uncle Mans did. I was so hurt by Uncle Mans that Marvin will always be the better singer. And then I was like, Uncle, what? But then he said, Stephen, even though Marvin's the better singer, you're the superstar of the family. So, yep, I was happy with that. Uncle Mano said I'm the star of the family. And one story I'd like to share about my Uncle Noah was he came over to New Zealand, and during that time I was in my high school production of In the Heights, and they played this guy named Piragua. And I was like, Piragua! And Uncle Mano loved it. He's like, come little Stephen, come perform it. And then I would perform it, and then he said, wait, I need to record it. And then I'd perform it again, and he said, wait, it's not recording. I think I performed Piragua like 8 times that day. But after that, I learned that, he didn't even care about the camera. It's just he loved to see what his nephews and nieces were doing. And that was a testament of his love to us. And I'm really going to miss him. And thank you guys.
1 Thessalonians 5 verse 18. Be cheerful no matter what. Pray all the time. Thank God no matter what happens. This is the way God wants you to who belong to Christ Jesus to live. Talofa lava, friends and family. My name is Darcy, and like Tina said, I'm married to Marv. 2 things that I want to share with you, everyone tonight, is Uncle Man's strength and determination. Like she shared, October 2018, Marv and I were set to get married. August of that same year, Uncle Mano became very ill, and things weren't looking too good. Through all of this, Uncle was determined to get better, and we were so blessed to have him make our day. Lastly, that was a testament to his relationship with his nieces and nephews. He was very intentional. He spent quality time with each of them. Last year, Marv came and gifted me a watch from Uncle Mans, and I thought I was so special, and I was like, oh, faves, not knowing that he also gifted all the other outlaws as well. And I was like, Uncle, why'd you give me a watch? Are you hinting? No. But that's just a testament of how Uncle Mans treated all of us, no matter whether we were married into the family or not. He treated us all the same. His relationship with the nieces and nephew has encouraged me as an auntie to love my nieces and nephews as well, no matter what age. I know that Marv will miss Uncle Mans. We will all miss him too. But sleep well, Uncle. We will see you in that morning. Whaftai.
Talofa lava, everybody. My name is Marv, and Uncle Manoa, he was like an uncle to me. I grew up with my grandparents. There at 76 Kerwell Ave with Mama and Papa. So then growing up, whenever Uncle Manoa would come visit from college or, Korea or wherever he was in the world, I was always there. So I got to spend a lot of time, like quality time with Uncle Mans growing up. So I was more fortunate than the other ones. I wasn't the favorite. I wish I was, but like these guys said, Uncle Manoa loved all his nephews and nieces equally. So even though I was a nephew, Uncle Manoa always treated me like a brother. And so, he would always give me his hand-me-downs and, do all the big brother stuff. But then, there were times when Uncle had to remind me that he's the uncle, and there was a lot of those times, But it was always out of love and respect. The type of uncle that he was always the fun uncle. I mean, the other two, they're very fun, obviously. But specifically for Uncle Mans, every time we had I remember we would have farewell dinners when he would leave New Zealand, and there'll be extended family, all his close friends that's all here. They'll all be there, but he'll always make time, for the especially me and Joran, because we were at that age. And he'll always call us, like, Marvin, Joran, where are you? He'll lie us down, and he'll play games with us. I don't know, he was very competitive. I think that's just a Tuitama thing. But always, sit me and Joran and say, who's the best at maths? Or who's the best at English? And we'll be sitting there doing 2 plus 2. And me and Joran, 4. Yeah, Joran, right. And Joran used to always beat me. But yeah, that's the type of uncle was. He was always fun, always like, you know, whether it be singing loud as in the car or doing silly dances. That was our uncle. Always tried to make fun, what am I trying to say? He was fun. Okay, also, uncle, he was a very proud uncle. He was proud of all of us, you know. He always, in detail, just explain like how proud he was of Reese, of Joran on the radio, of Man doing her thing with her house and everything. And he was just so proud of all of us. And I was as much as, oh man, someone turned the aircon, is getting to my lungs. But I was so proud of Uncle Manoa too. There was one time I remember we were on an Aussie trip and he took us to one of his Christmas festivals and he was like pointing out, he goes, Marv, see that guy? Man, he sings for so-and-so, this guy's from this band, that guy, man. And then I was thinking, man, and there was thousands of people. Now, Jake says probably hundreds of people. But man, when Uncle Manoa got on that stage and he sung a song, bro, he smashed those other guys. And I just remember being so proud of my uncle. The legacy he leaves us all with is just so special. He always had the saying to speak your mind. He goes, Marv, speak your mind. Don't worry if it makes the other guy, your cousin, your mum, whoever it is, just speak your mind because you should just speak your mind that way. But if you do it, if you make them uncomfortable, as long as it's coming from a place of love. Which brings me to my last story. I've got many stories that I could tell, many memories of, our road trips, our dragon boat experience, our trip to Bali, me and Joran's Aussie trip, when him and Auntie Karen took me to play at the local primary school and he almost had an accident in his pants. But I've chosen one story that he always used to remind me of the story. He goes, you remember? He'll never forget it. Every time I see him, he'll always remind me. And so the story is called Speak Your Mind. Okay? What is it called? Speak Your Mind. All right. So the story goes like this. He came back from Korea one time, and then it was lunchtime, and it was just me, him, and Mama at home. My grandma. It was just us, and he goes, Marv, I'm going to the bakery. Do you want anything? And then I looked at him and I go, Uncle, can I have a steak and cheese? But then I go, bacon and egg, bacon and egg, bacon and egg. And then he looked at me like, okay. And then he goes, Mum, I'm going to the bakery. Do you want anything? And then Mama goes, steak and cheese, bacon and egg, bacon and egg, bacon and egg. So yeah, the moral of the story is what? Speak your mind. Thank you. Love you, Uncle. To Auntie Karen and Keels. Just want to let you know that we're always here for you. Whenever, wherever, you just tell me, Keels, I'll come and beat up your boyfriend. But yeah, I love you guys so much and yeah, thank you very much.
Okay. I don't want to ramble because, I can go all night talking about Manoa, but I wrote down some points. Was really, I usually just speak from my heart, but I thought I better do points because there's a lot of people that are going to talk. I want to say 3 things about Manoa. The first thing is Manoa was born with, he had ear problems when he was about 3 or 4, so he was in and out of hospital. And he had a speech impediment, and Mum got a speech therapist, and Manoa couldn't say H. He used to say H, So Helene used to always help him with, to say words and pronounce them. And usually, Manoa, if you don't know, he's been half deaf his whole life. Yet he's the best singer out of all of us. He's got the best perfect pitch. He can sing and hear notes that we don't. When we used to all sing together, Manu would always hear notes and say, no, let's do this note, you know. He had the best diction. You know, this was a boy who'd been half deaf all his life and had a speech impediment. I was really proud of Manu because he always spoke eloquently. Out of all of us, when we did speeches, we always look at our mum and dad's funerals and we all hate the way we spoke at this. But Manu's speeches were always perfect. No, he was very smart, just very smart. Okay, my phone's gone off. I lost my notes. Okay, number 2, I was really proud of him in his job. He used to tell me a lot of his work stories. He said one time one of his clients, he went up to him and knocked on the door and said, do you want to hear the good news or the bad news? And then he goes, oh, the good news. Oh, the good news, you're drug-free. The bad news is you're pregnant. And he was a man. Yeah, me and him would laugh about, you know, or a lot of work stories like that. I said, you know, so proud of Manu. You know, he just knew how to talk to people, but, you know, he could really make people angry. And he didn't care. I was really proud of him like that because he spoke his mind. He spoke his mind. I was really grateful when in our family, if you know the Tuitama family, we like to surprise each other. So if we go to Australia, we like, surprise, you know, and jump out. And they used to do the same. So Stephen and Manu would come, you know, they'd only tell one, like one would tell Helene or one would tell me and said, don't tell anyone, you know, so when they get there. But we did a really big surprise on Manu one year. He bought the Statesman, which is 4-car, you know, only 4 people can fit in it. And then Manu thought he was picking up Clay because it was Clay's birthday, and he shouted Clay to come over for his birthday. What he didn't know, when we get to Sydney, we always catch the train to Seven Hills with our luggage. Yeah, it's really funny. Anyway, this time it was Clay. Clay went first and he went out and we saw Manu greet him and he was really happy. Oh, it's good to see you, Clay. And Clay, yeah, you too, Uncle. And then me and Stephen jumped out. Here, oh, Tina! You know, we hugged and then Helene and Lennox jumped out. Yeah, 4 people can fit in the car. And then Manu goes, next time, don't surprise me. Just let me know how many people are coming. Oh, I love him. Manu had a temper, and out of all of us, he would. I guess because as a young boy, he was bullied a lot because of his hearing. You know, people would tease him the way he used to speak. But with Manoa, he really what's the word? He would always have a forgiving heart. I remember one time I use pissed off because that's the word, but I shouldn't say in church. But he really pissed me off in Samoa because we were in Samoa with Dad, and Manu got upset, you know, and he was angry at Dad, and he left Samoa, and I didn't talk to Dad for a while. And Dad was quite hurt, but Manu came. He's the biggest in a big heart. He came. He said sorry to Dad. Said sorry. You know, he could say it. He's got another side to him that people don't see. One thing I know, when he came in June, and I think it must have been in June, he came to see us. More Helene because he wanted to see Tuli, and he came with Keels, him and Mano. And those 2 weeks that he was with us was real quality time with Adrian and his family, me and my family. We spent every day. It was, I can, I just wonder if he knew, but I'm satisfied I saw him. I was able to say I love you when he left. That was the last thing I said to him. Then I love you. So, in Psalms 34:18, it talks about the brokenhearted, because that's how I feel, really brokenhearted. But God says that he will never leave us. And I pray, and I know on that great morning that we will see him again. He will look for me, and that's what these guys are going to do.
When you finally make your entrance to that city of jasper walls and bright gold avenues, as you behold all its beauty and its splendor, remember there's just one request I make of you. Look for me, for I will be there too. I realize when you arrive, there'll be so much to do after you've been there 10,000 years. Loving you made me to look for me, for I will be there too. I'm the superstar, that's right. As you go down your list of firsts, there's no question we're gonna wanna see our loved ones waiting for me and you. And when you feel you'll share your story with the last one that wants to hear you tell just how you've made it through. Look for me. I'd like to be there too. I realize when you
Ia, talofa atu le mamalo tatu e kālesia. Ai mesi foi la tau e mawhaina. Asi o nei aso le milio manoa. Yeah, I'd like to say welcome to everybody. This is my family. I'm number 2, the handsome one, the handsome out of all of them. This is, I'm going to let you, let them introduce yourself, let them talk and say what they want to say about Uncle Manoa, and then I'll finish it off. We'll finish off with a song. Okay. Who's going to go first?
I love you, Uncle Ma.
Okay, Stevie. Ooh. Okay, yeah, you do it.
Uncle Manoa was a very caring and fun uncle. He'd always take me to McDonald's and pick me up from school and take me to his pool. He'd always come over and leave, never forgetting to say, I love you. I remember him dropping me off to school, and he was watching me from the corner, looking at me being a loner. Uncle, you are inspiring, incredible, delightful, and the best uncle anyone could ever ask for. Uncle, you are a hero, father, best friend, husband, and a brother. You will forever be in our hearts till we meet again. Love and miss you, Uncle. Rest in peace.
Okay. Cool. Well, just so you know, it was this is Stevie. This is Larissa's daughter. Stevie, Serenity. What's the other name? Yeah, no, the names they call her at school.
Oh, Stevie Lee.
Okay, Stevie Lee. Okay, this is Ebony. Yep. You remember those days when Uncle Manoa used to want to come over? Uncle Manoa would come over and he'd say, what? Abby, why haven't you gone to school?
Why didn't I go to school?
Yeah, Manoa used to come visit, and every time he came visit, Ebony was at home. Okay, this is Ebony, and who are we going to go next? You want to speak? Do you want to do your thing, or? Oh, my daughter wants to do a little creative expression. So we'll get her to do it. This is a first-time performance. And, yeah, this is for Uncle Manoa. That was beautiful.
My name's Brooke, and I'm Dad's son. Uncle Manoa, I'm one of his nephews. One thing I can, the main thing to me about Uncle Manoa, he was very engaged, like I'm sure a lot of the nephews will say. I'm very curious and interested in what you're doing with your life. He'll ask you a lot of questions. Yeah, he's always intriguing. For me, I liked, he was very he was filled with knowledge and wisdom. Me and him could vibe for like literally hours. I know a lot of people will be like the age difference and that, but one thing to me, I like knowledge, and Uncle Mano was full of it, and different opinions and just different mindsets. We could jump different subjects and we could disagree, agree. But for me, that's what I liked, like knowledge and all that. And yeah, he was full of it. I could say more, like people who know me, I'm not a person of words. I'm very quiet. I stick to myself. I'm not really like that. But I'm very grateful for Uncle Manoa in that, like he would set me aside when no one's, like everyone's doing their own thing. He'll ask me, hey, how you been? What are you up to? What are you doing? That's nice. And then we keep following up. And then next minute we're leading down philosophy and all these back then and back then. But I love that. And next thing you know, we're talking for like 3 hours. But that's what I'll miss, because like for me in my life, there's not that many people where I can have that type of conversation with about things ahead or deep and stuff like that. But yeah, he'll sorely be missed on in those conversations we have. Yeah, love you, Uncle Mans.
Hi everyone, I'm Larice, and I'm the eldest. It was always comforting to know that we had Uncle Mans in the same city. If you know Uncle Mans very well, you'll know that he has a social limit. So we didn't see Uncle all the time, but again, it was always a comfort to know that we had him in the same city. Growing up, Uncle Mans played a significant role in our immediate family's lives. Poor Uncle would get calls at all hours of the morning, particularly in Mum and Dad's early years of their marriage. He was... Yep. This is my story too, thank you. Can you mute her mic, please? Thank you. To the world, Uncle Manoa was many things, but to me, he was love and devotion personified. All the nephews and nieces can agree that Uncle is such a devoted uncle. He's so loving. And we were sharing on Friday night and going around in a circle and just having a heart-to-heart about the things that we loved and cherished of Uncle. And one thing that came up repeatedly was how intentional Uncle was with the time that he spent here on this earth. He made me personally feel seen. When he would come over, he would sit down with me, much like what my brother said, and just really, he wasn't much for small talk. He didn't like small talk. It was like Uncle had this ability where he could see right through you, sometimes to the point where I felt a little bit uncomfortable because I would open up to him and tell him things about my relationship, but I didn't want to tell him too many things, but it was too late because if you know Uncle, he reads body language. So I'll tell him I've, had a tiff with Nate, and then 2 days later, Uncle's texted me and he's like sort of figured it out, and I'm like, oh damn, I said too much. Uncle, I feel extremely privileged to have experienced your essence. Like Auntie Tina said, I am also heartbroken that I will no longer have you around. I don't even think I even imagined a world without Uncle Manoa. Like, he's just like the glue to the family. Selfishly, I will miss having your listening ear and having you as my genuine supporter in my corner. You've been one of the only uncles in my life that has been there for all of my milestones. Having my kids, my high school graduation, I'll never forget those times. Moi file mo uncle. I love you so much. Thank you so much for everything that you've done for us.
Hello, my name is Nathaniel. I'm Larice's partner. We haven't got to the marriage stage yet, but we're working on it. As you see, this is my daughter Serenity, and Marcus is over there, Pingola Valley. But memories with Uncle Manoa was always good to me because he's such a genuine person. you can share anything you want, and he wouldn't judge you. He would just listen. He's a good listener, and every time he talks, like, it's always wisdom, and I'm gonna like miss that a lot. Miss all the visits. We know that his health wasn't 100%, but when he was always better, he always made the time to come out and see us. What really made an impact on me when I had my first child, he still wasn't well, but he made an effort to come and see Luis at the hospital. You know, that meant a lot to me. And I'll really cherish that, like, forever, man. Uncle Muns, I'm gonna miss you. I'm gonna miss out those jam sessions on the GAT. And I was getting put on show on Whama Vaisa Paki, always singing, if you know the song, if you've been to Tuitama, opening Sabbath, if what's that famous song? That's it. Oh yes, I love Jesus. So hey, if you know that song, so if you go to any Tuitama, house and you're on there for Sabbath, good luck, you're gonna be chosen.
Talofa lava, ma lole soifua. I have 3 things that I'm going to share with you about my brother-in-law. Number 1, I'm going to share with you Manoa as my brother. Number 2, I'm going to share with you Manoa as service to the family and to the community. And thirdly, I'm going to share with you Manoa as an uncle to my children. My relationship with Manoa didn't exactly start off with roses. In fact, we had a few disagreements right in the beginning. And one day he called me and he said, let's meet up at Parramatta McDonald's. And we met up there and we had a really good heart-to-heart. And it was there that sealed the deal. And I knew then that Manoa loved his brother immensely. And the love that he had for his brother, I loved him like my own brother. So I don't really introduce Manoa to my friends as my brother-in-law. I always say, this is my brother, instead of saying my brother-in-law. And I want to share with you because many times I've asked Manoa to sing for my family events. He's never, ever said no. The first time, though, I asked him was for my uncle Whareti, who passed away last year during COVID. And it was in the beginning of my relationship with Stephen. And he said, okay, Maria, what song? And I said, well, and then he said, let's sing What a Day That Will Be, which is a song we're going to sing today for you. And so we sang, and then he said, you know what? Your talent is hospitality. This guy, man. Anyway, so he never asked me again to sing, even to this day. But that's okay, because I knew then that my talent was hospitality. So during his funeral, I really put that into effect. And I thought, I'm going to show you, Manoa, that yes, hospitality is my talent. Number 2, when he had an operation a couple of years ago, and that didn't go well, I took one day, so I worked at Jamison High School, and I asked them if I could have one day of the week. And so for almost 3 months, I had Wednesdays off, and every day without fail, I would go to the hospital. And I think Jennifer and Alan Nylon, one time I was on the video call with Tina downstairs, and they caught me downstairs video calling Tina. So they must have went back up to Manoa and said, oh, Maria's downstairs. And he goes, oh, that's where you were. Were you talking to Tina downstairs? I said, But him and I had that relationship that I could sit in that room on Wednesdays and just not say anything. And he'll know, and would walk out the door and I say, I'm going to go now. The last time that he came to our house was just before he went to New Zealand, and then just before he went to his operation. And every time he came, and he never left the house without saying, love you, bro, love you, Maria. Just always told us. And so the last thing he ever said to us, love you. And that was him as my brother-in-law. So he wasn't just my brother-in-law. He truly was the epitome of a real true brother. His service to the community, as I've explained to you how he's never ever said no to me, but the amount of people, the clients, Pacific Island people that was in his clientele, because then I worked as a teacher, and then I also met a lot of those people as well in my line of work. And so, but they spoke really well of him, how he helped them. I remember one of the guys that texted us that he was coming around with an envelope to Stephen and I, and he said because Manoa helped him. He didn't end up going into, that place. He didn't end up going into, but yeah, he helped him. So there are a lot of people out there that Manoa, and he did things without being seen. He did things quietly. He didn't need to be praised by anyone outwardly. He just did it. So his service to the community and to the family impacted us in a big way. Manoa is an uncle. My kids, they love him. I feel really bad because it's life, but they think he is truly their favourite uncle on my side as well. And that's because of the special time, the effort that he's made, take time out to spend with them. And like Larisse said, I think Manoa knew more about my kids than Stephen and I. And Manoa was that referee, he was that counsellor, and he was very, very philosophical in terms of life. He was knowledgeable. I love you, Mans. He was like Stephen's older brother, even though Steve is the oldest. And I can famine that, because many times I've had to say to Steve, I'm going to call Manoa. He goes, why are you calling Manoa for? And I said, I need to call him. But you will be deeply missed by Steve. You will be deeply missed by us. And we love you. We love you, Karen and Keels.
Yeah, one more. Thank you, Mum. Okay. My relationship with this fellow. I've probably got a couple of stories I could tell you. But I got to tell you, the one thing that comes to mind for me, for Manoa is really loyal. He's loyal. Whatever he'll stand up for you. If he says he's going to do something for you, he'll do it. He'll be there. Whatever it is of that. And that's probably one thing that I'm going to miss him, because regardless of what I did to him and everything, he never judged me. He never looked at me as if it was wrong. He just looked at me and tried to make me see it in a different angle, a bit clearer here, or another way of seeing things. And that's the way Manoa was. Never judged anybody, never said that they were wrong or right. He just took you as who you were and accepted the way you were. I remember one time we were kids. This is one of the childhood ones, which I haven't unresolved with you, mate, because I was still mad at you when you did that to me, man. But one day I was sitting on the kitchen, and I was sitting in the kitchen with the window, having it open and everything, and I was sitting there. And when you're back at church, there's always a girl at church that everyone teases your brothers or sisters about, or someone that you liked in church and everything, and you keep teasing him. Well, there was this girl in our church in New Lynn that he liked. Well, I don't know what he liked, but my brothers and sisters, we would tease him about it. So, you tease them, and the next minute they get upset and they get angry. Well, I kept doing this to Manoa. And I remember he was standing there. He was standing in the kitchen, and he was buttering his bread with the butcher knife. He was buttering his bread with a butcher knife, and I kept teasing him. I kept telling him this name. I'm not going to say the name, because she's probably watching she's probably watching you from where she is. But I kept saying that name, and I could see he was getting angry. He was buttering his bread. He was looking up at me, and I kept teasing him. I was laughing away, carrying on. She likes you at church. Come on, man. Next minute, man, He threw the knife at me. He threw it at me. It cut me here, and I still got the mark from where he slipped me when I went to block the butcher knife when he threw it from the kitchen. And man, I fell out the window and I went to the other side. And I came up and I was looking for him. He'd already taken out the back door and he ran up. Yeah, one of those unresolved things, mate. You don't do that to your older brother, man. I got another story when he basketball. If anyone played basketball with this guy doesn't like losing, man. Manoa doesn't like losing. He's a bad loser, man. At my age, when we were growing up, we used to go down to the school, it's a bit of 21, So we'd take our basketball / soccer looking ball, plastic thing, and we'd go down, we'd go down to the intermediate school, no hoops, just a ring, and we'd play 21. So we'd play, start off there, I'd win 21, Age would win 21, and then I would win again the 21, and then Age would win the 21, and Manoa would keep working on you, trying to get to win this game at 21. It just went like that after this fella here. It got to about the stage where probably we've been playing for about nearly 2 or 3 hours. And then I turned to Age, because Manoa just couldn't get the ball off Age. So he started pushing. You started just giving the old nudge in the stomach. And then next minute, it's getting a bit feisty now. Now the old Manoa's playing really rough now, and he's trying to knock Adrian down. So, I'll join in. So I started joining in and get Manoa, and just get this little fellow. He's a real... So anyway, we got through. He never won a 21 game, but I tell you, he had the best kick on him because he booted the ball out of the field and ran over. Sorry, bro, you're just nearly there, but, I've got so many things to thank Manoa for. The reason why I came to Australia was because of this guy, or else I would have just stayed in New Zealand with my mum and dad. And he came to New Zealand and he said, look, bro, you can't stay here. You can't stay with mum and dad the rest of your life. You've got to look for your own life. And he says, come to Australia. I'll help you, I said, oh, mate, all I know how to do is drive trucks. He goes, yeah, that'll be fine. I'll take you up to Avondale. They have a mechanics course or something like that that goes on there. I'll get you into that. And I went, He goes, no, come on. You need mums and dad. They'll be fine. You come with me and we'll go to Australia. So I decided, okay, bro, I'll come with you. So I did. And then these two went off to Korea. Yeah, thanks, mate. But I came here, and if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have my beautiful family today. For that fact that Manoa told me to come and, come out, Steve, have a go, go and run, go find your own life. And so I did. And I have no regrets for that because I've got a beautiful family that loves me and cares for me. And are very supportive. And I am so blessed and lucky to have them. Because of you, bro. I don't want to cry anymore. I've had enough crying about you, man. But let me tell you, man, I'm going to miss you. I'm going to miss you, bro. I'm just going to miss you. Thank you for everything you did for me. Thank you for accepting me the way I was. You know how much trouble I got in when I was a kid. You never saw me as you never saw me dumb. You always thought I was a smart guy. So we're going to sing a song. You know, this family, mate, that's the core of our family is singing. We just practiced this morning. We're not like the others. we do last minute stuff. Morning practices. For you always self-practice. For me, yeah. Be all the professionals there. I'm singing with. Okay, this is my family. We're going to sing the song that we sang with Manoy at Hoxton Park. There is coming a time. There is coming a day when no heartache shall come, no more clouds in the sky, no more sin to dim the eye. All is peace forevermore on that happy golden shore. What a day, glorious day that we.
What a day that will be when my Jesus I shall see. When I look upon His face, the one who saved me by His grace, takes me by the hand and leads me through the promised land. What a day, glorious day that will be. There'll be no sorrow there, no more burdens to bear. There'll be no more sickness, no more pain, no more pining over there. All is peace forevermore on that happy golden shore. What a day, glorious day that will be. Oh, what a day that will be when my Jesus I shall see. When I look upon His face, the one who saved me by His grace, takes me by the hand and leads me to that promised land. What a day, glorious day that will be. Thank you, Auntie. When my Jesus I shall see, when I look upon His face, the one who saved me by His grace, when He takes me by the hand and leads me to the promised land. What a day, glorious day that will be. Oh, what a day, what a day, glorious day that will be.
Praise God, praise God.
Love you, Uncle.
Amen.
Mua lava si ia le vingo le kua. A velo leo am sui. I le ainga lua. Tuitama, Laura. John, Mali, Manelli, Malianne. Iau makoinga numia malipule faise Tuitama. Helen Tuitama. Tina Tuitama. Stephen Tuitama. Adrian Tuitama. Heleni Tuitama. Mama Noa Tuitama. Fatalofa atu. Whawhelawai atu I tangata o putuputu mei. Well, my name's Adrian Tuitama, and I'm going to give it over to my son.
Thank you, Mr. Lotto guy. Just wanted to say something quickly, 2 stories. I've been really fortunate to have like really cool aunties and uncles. I've got 2 really awesome aunties and 2 really cool uncles. And I've been fortunate to spend a lot of time with both of them. And I've also taken a lot of their bad traits as well. And this guy, like many of the nephews will know, gave a lot of advice. And him and Uncle Stephen would always give me some good advice. Definitely got Uncle's temper, because I've kicked a few balls myself a few times, as Marv can tell you. But one of the stories I wanted to share, I was fortunate to have Uncle Steve and Uncle Mans come and visit me in Kaweru. I live in the Eastern Bay of Plenty, dangerous place. Lennox brought them down, and I shared the story with Uncle because it was a story that was just really memorable. I was only little, maybe about 7 or so, and he had come back from overseas. I don't know where he was. I always thought he was rich because he had really flash stuff, and he had this really, really expensive camera, apparently. And someone had broke his camera. This was at Kerrville Ave, and he was going around making wild accusations as to who broke his camera. If he finds out, that's it, he's going to give them a hiding, da-da-da. And I think we got a bit sick of it, and Uncle Stephen, being Uncle Stephen, he didn't break the camera, but he just ended up saying, I broke it, just to make him be quiet. And a fight ensued to follow, and Marvin pulled me to the side in the bedroom, and he said, Sole, it was me that broke the camera. And I told Uncle last year, I'm sorry, bro. I ended up telling Uncle, and even though we're like in our 30s, he was still angry. And Uncle Stephen didn't know either, because he was like, was it? So I guess the testament to both my uncles, Uncle Stephen will always protect you and you know, take a sword for you, and Uncle Mano will get angry. But really love my Uncle Mano. Lots and lots of memories. A lot of them are with my cousin Marvin, and we had a lot of good times together. So I'll just keep it at that.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Rose, and I'm Mano's sister-in-law. Gee, I wasn't going to do this. Mano and Stephen were 2 reasons for us coming to Sydney, and we always treasured and enjoyed those moments. I remember a time we were sitting at the table, and like everyone has already started to talk, to say about Mano, is that he would be quite an inquisitor. He would sit you down and he'd want to know every single thing that you had done in your life from the last time that he'd met you, or that he'd seen you, and he wanted to know about every single person in the family. And we were partway through this meaningful discussion, probably an hour in, and he stopped me and he said, I just want to apologise. And I said, what for? And he goes, for everything that my family have done. And I said, what? And he goes, man, he said, it must have been really hard, eh, Rose? And I said, what? What was hard? And he goes, us. He said, we're hard work. And I said, no, not at all, not at all. But you know, because Because you don't know, I'm staying at his place. I don't want to be kicked out. I want to make sure I've got the rest of my holiday. So I'm just like, no, it's been a pleasure, honestly. But actually, I do want to say that it is a pleasure to be part of the Tuitama family. It's been a pleasure to be part of Manoa's life. It's, you know, unlike Stephen, who had the opportunity to spend a long time with Manoa in the treasured moments and being close and together, us coming over to Australia and vice versa has always been a really special time. And I just want to thank him for being such a good uncle. But not only that, he's also taken that interest and he's been a good papa manoa as well. So, you know, we have 7 grandchildren. He knows all of their names. He knows all of their traits. And he's, you know, just made sure that he has done the same with them that he's done with all the kids as well. I just want to acknowledge Karen and Keely, you know, such a heartbreaking time, but also the opportunity to be together and really celebrate his life and share these funny stories and these good moments. It's been great to come together. Maria, he never, ever asked me to sing. He just knew. He just knew. He knew instinctively, as does everyone else in the family. So, yeah, I'm forever the person who has to be in the kitchen as well. And I'm okay with that. It's a good place to be because I'm also the sook. And as soon as I see someone singing or hear the beautiful music or the songs, or it's just, yeah, it touches me. I do want to share a little bit of a story. I went back to work. I can't remember what this week is now. Maybe it was early this week, maybe it was last week, after we got the news, and stayed home for a couple of days, but then decided, you know, I need to go to work, I need to get my mind functioning, I need to get my, you know, we've got our plan now. And I specifically sat in an area by myself, and just so I didn't have to talk to anyone, I could just flick an email to the person next door and say, go and do this, please. Didn't want to communicate, and then I thought, I'm going to jump on YouTube and just do something real fun. So I jumped on YouTube and I looked at the first thing that came up on my computer. Obviously, I've looked at this before, is the wedding song. So I thought, no, can't do that. I'm going to go to the At Ease concert in Mangere. So I went into the At Ease concert in Mangere and I started listening to that, and I thought, yeah, this is cool. And then I just broke down and started crying. And I was like, oh, man. I knew where I was sitting that there were cameras and that people could probably see if they were walking past. That's just the nature of the job of where I work, by the way. And all of a sudden, all these staff started walking out, and they took one look at me and said, oh, my gosh, what's happened? What's going on? Those that knew, you know, were very comforting. And but it's heartbreaking, but it's heartwarming to hear the music and watch the talent and to get up and be able to sing with these people, even though they know I'm miming in the background. But, you know, still they accept that, boots and all. And I just never forget that story from Manoa. So thank you, Karen, Keely, all the best. We're always here for you moving forward. This isn't the end of it, you know, we're all one family, and we know that we're going to continue to have moments. But yeah, love you guys, love our family, love you, Manoa. Rest in peace.
Potato, potato, tomato, tomato. Manoa, Manoa. M-A-N-O-A. M is for music. Music to his ears. Manoa was tone deaf. Manoa's singing voice gave me a feeling of peace. It was incredible. Manoa's singing voice set the tone for the music of our Tuitama family. Manoa sang from the soul. You would hear tones that would sound out the kind of person he was. Loving, kind, and peaceful. Range. Manoa had some serious range. He could sing tenor, baritone, bass. He could flirt with the music charts, and his voice would take you to the highest peak of the Himalayas and then drop deep to the depths of the Pacific Ocean. His singing voice would range to any key and mesmerize you with musical harmony, taking your ears on a musical trance as he trilled high and low, sweeping his voice across the white and black keys of a piano. Diction and volume. Manoa had a speech impediment, or a lisp, as Tina told you with the H. He also had trouble with his S words. Manoa, we're having sausages tonight. Stephen, we're having sausages. He was laughed at just like we did then. At school, he was teased. Okay, Stephen and I were the biggest bullies. We were the biggest mockers, but Stephen was a big bully, man, I'll tell you. Manoa went through primary and intermediate school, mocked and teased and even beaten up. But Manoa had musical backup. Stephen and I would harmonise and knock and smash and protect our little bro, who was not very little compared to Stephen and I. I think we just ate more sausages. Volume. Let me bring in my mum, Helen Tuitama. For the musical records, Mum could not sing. She was flat as, but very loud. I remember one time my father would say to her, because my father was a conductor, and say to her, Helen, ku lalu lo leo, which means, Helen, put your voice down, wa ki ngare ki lingo leo kua, which means, Helen, put your voice down, that God's got sore ears. And Mum would reply, I'm not show off. I'm not show off like you. I sing to the Lord. Amen. My mum would take Manoa to speech therapy. We were very, very poor, but Mum and Dad worked very, very hard. She would turn up the volume. Well, he couldn't hear, could he? His eardrums would literally take a beating. Mum told Manoa he could beat this, and Manoa eventually did. I believe this would speak volumes for Manoa. I struggle to speak the words today, but I am loud and proud of Manoa. Pitch. Manoa was pitch perfect. Let me introduce you to my dad, Numia Malepule Faese Tuitama. Allow me to pitch this to you. Music is a universal language. Our dad could not speak, read, or write English, but he could sing, read, and write music. Our father was also pitch perfect, pitching Manoa's musical gifts. Manoa was such a perfectionist. His attention to detail with music was very, very professional. His presence, his performance in solo group, choir, and our Tuitama music will be missed. I need your help, guys, so to sing, He's able, I know He's able, I know my Lord is able to carry me through. He's able, I know He's able, I know my Lord is able to carry me through. He heals the brokenhearted and sets the captive free. He made the land to walk again and caused the blind to see. I know He's able, He's able. I know He's able. I know my Lord is able to carry me through. Thank you. M, music. A is for articulate. Manoa was a deep thinker. Manoa was able to express his thoughts and his ideas clearly. He was able to lay down his argument on any given subject, whether it was sport, politics, religion, whatever subject, he articulated with precision and creativity. Manoa's creative thinking shaped his worldview. Having deep thinking conversations with him put you in a cognitive dissonance state. I was a mental wreck after some of those conversations. He would articulate how the values and beliefs I had didn't line up with my actions and would clearly express that to me. Adrian, I see you want to be healthy, but what's that in your hand? Oh, it's a cigarette. Manoa had this down to a fine art. Manoa would pronounce his words very carefully with meaningful expression. He was well-spoken and was clear and distinct to make others, especially the ones that he loved, challenge their thinking, to think outside the square and not be afraid to step outside your comfort zone. His analytic and critical thinking would help him make up his mind on decisions in life. And boy, he stuck to his guns. He would articulate his point and, like a sniper, shoot you with words that would have you ducking for cover. On most of these verbal wars with him, I would just put up the white flag. I surrender. You got me, bro. And then would later go to the dictionary and look up these words he had fired at me. He was just at another level, bit too much for me. I understood him more when Google came out. Being a Tuitama, myself, the no fifth attitude, and also the big brother and the tall poppy syndrome, I would always trigger Manoa, like Stephen said. We used to tease him. And boom, he went from a sniper to a bomb to a nuclear warhead. Let's just say some of those conversations just blew up. And well, the Tuitama values kicked in. If you lose the game, you win the fight. Both Manoa and I knew not to mix our words with Stephen. I just loved to listen to him and what he had to say sometimes and how he said it. Manoa was not only an incredible singer, he was an incredible talker. Let's talk about Jesus. All together. The King of Kings is King, the Lord of Lords supreme, through all eternity. The great I am, the way, the truth, the life, the door. Let's talk about Jesus more and more. Let's hear some psalm on. Here we go. Manoa, M for music, A for articulate, N for nonsense. Manoa was a no-nonsense guy. He knew exactly what he wanted, and his no-nonsense attitude would get him it. Manoa knew what was important to him. He knew who he loved. He knew who he was. He was like the Lion King. If you were not in his circle of life, you did not matter to him. He did not care who you were, whether you liked him or not. Hakuna Matata. He had no worries at all. Move on, catch up, see you later. Manoa was sometimes an arrogant son of a dude. Mufasa would sit on top of his cliff with a circle of people in his life that he loved and show them everything that you can see one day can be yours. He saw the potential in people. And with that arrogance and no-nonsense approach, Manoa would tell you things you did not want to hear, but what you needed to hear. Manoa was able to express his thoughts and ideas clearly to you because you were important to you. You mattered. Manoa stayed true to himself. His leopard spots never changed. He loved you, Karen. He loved Keely. He loved his family. He loved his cousins. He loved his nephews. He loved his nieces. He loved his friends. This was Manoa's circle of life. And if you were on the outer, Manoa Mufasa would roar and Pumbaa your ass off the cliff. M for music, A for articulate, N for nonsense, O for observant. Manoa observed what was going on in his own life and also what was going on with people's lives. Manoa was a very good listener, but I'm not entirely if he heard you. His facials would show a concerned look, left eyebrow raised, look at you square in the eyes, lean in, and hit you with a Mike Tyson hook question like, what's going on? Manoa would articulate what he would respond with and tell you what you needed to hear. His observations would determine his approach to and how he would handle his own behavior and others' behaviors. Mindfulness Manoa would describe the situation, then observe, then participate with his open mind, open heart, open ears, and open eyes. A for amazing. Karen, you're amazing. Thank you for taking care of my bro. He always had a story, in Australia, and he just absolutely loved you. I hope God places his healing hands on you, Karen. And it's a lesson to all of us with our partners and husbands and wives, to cherish them, to cherish your partners and wives. Happy wife, happy life. Sad wife, sharp knife. Keely, you are amazing. You're amazing, Keely. Manoa, when you guys came and visited us in Auckland, Manoa was so concerned for you. And Keely, you've got a family here. You got some nieces and nephews that are gangster, man. Cousins that are gangster. They really love you, and we want you to know that, Keely, that you are amazing. My amazing siblings, Tina. Thank you, Tina, for being a good sister to Manoa and myself. I wish you all the best with your family, Tina. And I know that you'll be missing Manoa. Stephen, you're an amazing brother too, Stephen. I just want to say that. And you're my only brother left, and I'm going to cherish you before you go. His friends, I just want to say they're amazing. I want to just acknowledge Uta. You're amazing. You're amazing, Uta. Thank you very much for your friendship. Rosalind, who's come over with James, you guys are amazing. Manoa spoke of yous quite a lot, and I just want to say thank you for coming over and making the trip. I just want to say how everybody here is amazing. Thank you for coming here and showing your respects and love to Manoa. I really appreciate it. My final words to you, Manoa. Thank you, my little brother, for always making me feel special. Tō whāsui fō uso, manuele lau malanga, moi file mu, Manoa, music, articulate, nonsense, observant. Manoa, you're amazing.
Thanks, Dad. Just also quickly, we have another sister, in New Zealand as well. Eleni. Yeah. Very long story for a 5-letter name. Thank you.
Kohu ai te pori. Poke a mai te maramatanga o ngā whetū. Wai ka ripo, wai ka huri te rauaru he aue pupuhi miri. Te rauaru e kanukui, nā wai puke, wai aroha, rere tō tika, rere tika ki te moana, wai ho ngā piko tāna kia iō. Wai ho ngā piko tanga kia iō.
He re 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 re
God is awesome. You better tell somebody. Hi everyone, my name is Clay, and I'm Helene's third eldest child.
Hi everyone, my name is Kanisha. I'm the eldest of Helene's children. Then we have Lennox, and then Clay, and then our sister Kari, who couldn't be here. She's in New Zealand. I think my cousins and my aunties and uncles summed up Uncle to a T, so I don't think I need to say anything. But one memory about Uncle that I think I'll remember is when my mum was sick. Uncle came to New Zealand, and if you know Uncle, when he buys gifts, there's always a meaning behind it, and they're always like really expensive. So when he came, he had bought me and my siblings and some of my cousins Garmin watches. And while Mum was in hospital, I think everyone was feeling down, and we didn't really just sitting in the room. But as one of my cousins said, Uncle was really competitive, and so we downloaded the app, and we would all try and get in our steps. And I remember sitting in the room one time, and we were trying to look for Uncle Manoa. And I was like, where's Uncle Manoa? And we were sitting in the room, and I just looked out Mum's window, and Uncle's doing his steps around the hospital. He'll come back and he'll be like, Nish, did you refresh the app? Look, and he's done like another 1,000 more than us. But yeah, that's one thing I'll really miss and I'll cherish the most about Uncle. And I'll pass it on to my brother.
I'm the third oldest, so Lennox, your turn. He's not much of a speaker. He's half Tongan, so. Okay. I don't. I'm gonna go grab the butcher knife. I didn't have anything written down, or I didn't plan on speaking, but I have a memory of Uncle that we always talk about. I was about 3 years old, and he bought me some wrestling figurines in Australia, so I was playing with those, and Uncle was walking past. He saw me playing with them, so he came and sat down with me, and he started playing with me. I gave him one figurine, and I had the other one, and we were acting like the figurines were fighting. I think he got a bit bored, so he snatched my one out of my hand, and he chucked it on the wall. And then he started acting like his one was stomping on mine. I think he wanted me to cry, but I stood up. I took 3 steps back, and he was watching me, and then I ran up and I kicked him in the nose. Yeah, and then I woke up in hospital, and yeah, that's probably the memory I'll cherish. Is he taught me how to be a magician, because he would swing his arm and you'd fall asleep. So yeah, love you, Uncle, and grateful for all the knowledge and support you've shown me through the years. And yeah. I think a video is going to play.
Hi everyone, my name is Helene, and I'm the youngest of the Tuitama siblings. I'm number 5, and Manoa is the next one up from me. So we're 6 years apart. He unfortunately passed away at 55, and I just turned 49 on the 6th of September. Boy, there's so much to say about Manoa. And God, don't you find it funny? Oh, shucks. Excuse me. It's going to be very candid, because I think the kind of relationship I had with my brother was one that was very open and very brutally honest. Those of you that know my brother know that Manoa was a straight shooter. He wasn't somebody that minced his words. He wasn't somebody that cared what people thought of him. it, people's perception of him didn't faze him in any way. My brother could walk into a crowd and just talk with anybody and any walk of life. That's why he was so great at his job, working for corrections. Phyllis and Weber, my cousins there that were close with him, they know that about Manoa. I often used to frequently visit Sydney, and I would always stay with Manoa. The last time I was in Sydney was about 1.5 years ago, and I went over for my brother Stephen, who was sick. The last time I spent with Manoa, he came to New Zealand. And, I cherish those times, and I'm grateful that I spent those times with my brother because, man, we had awesome conversations. We talked about a lot of things, and, we talked about everyone in my family. That's how it was. We talked about each sibling, and Manoa would just sit there and, listen to me. I'm usually the one I'm the youngest in the family, but I'm also known as the feisty one and the one that will speak my mind. I think Manoa and I have similarities in that sense because we both, we just speak our mind. Whatever's on our mind, that's what comes out. I thought about what I was going to say, and I just, I don't know, I was going to write down what I was going to say, but I didn't want my speech to be just robotic and, and so repetitive. And I wanted it to be unique about Manoa because I really wanted to portray who he was to me, because I'm sure each of my siblings had different experiences with Manoa, but Manoa had a bit of a potty mouth like me. He didn't cross his T's and dot his I's, although he was the only one that went to university and got a degree. But he always used to say, I'm not the smartest. Just because I went to university and I got a degree, that doesn't define me. That doesn't make me any better than you guys. He was so proud of his family, of us. And that's what our conversations were the last time he was here in New Zealand. He told me how proud he was of each of us, of Tina, how much he loved her. He talked about Stephen and how he reckons Stephen was smart. He was the smartest. He talked about Adrian and how Adrian he wishes he had Adrian's ability to just make people feel so comfortable. It's not that my brother was socially awkward. Manoa, he wasn't socially awkward. I would say he was socially selective. So, if he liked you, you'd know about it. And if he didn't like you, you'd really know about it. He wasn't afraid to speak his mind, and I loved that about my brother. I loved that he was so courageous. The song that my nephews and nieces sung on, the family service was called Courage. And that just sums Uncle Manoa up. He was so courageous. Another thing I want to talk about my brother is that how he invested his time. He invested his time in everyone. And Manoa would make each kid, like I've got 4 kids. I'm the youngest and I have the most kids. And, you know, he always used to tell me, you know, how much he loves all the kids. My kids, you know, Stephen's kids, Adrian's kids, Tina's kids. And he always made a point of going down and spending time with everybody, you know. He was only here for the 2 weeks back in June this year. But boy, did he made, you know, really quality time, really good use of his time that he was here in NZ, you know. And it really mattered to him that Keely was close. He'd sit here and he'd say to me, man, I envy that your kids, all my siblings' kids are so close, you know, your kids, Adrian's kids, you know, Tina's kids, Stephen's kids, all close, you know, and makes me laugh because, you know, everyone all has drama in their families. Don't even try and say that you don't, because man, you're lying. You know, like I often used to laugh and say, oh, we're not tui tama, we're tui drama, you know, because we do. As much as we loved each other, us 5, oh man, boy, could we fight. We could fight, man. And that was another thing about Manoa, you know, when he was growing up and going to high school and stuff, he got into a lot of fights. He was so he was pretty good at fighting because, you know, he was so used to thing. And even though everybody knows Stephen to be the strong, you know, the Hercules, the incredible Hulk of our family, you know, Manoa might have been smaller than Stephen, but I'll tell you, he'll take Stephen on, man. He wasn't scared of anybody. He was fearless. He was so courageous. And that's what I remember about my brother, his courage, and the courage that he instilled in us, each one of us siblings, the encouragement he gave us all, you know. I would often complain to him if I was angry at any of the siblings. I would complain to Manoa. He was my go-to person. I'd ring him up. You know, Karen can attest to this because, you know, I'm probably sure Karen would be thinking at home when Manoa was on his phone for so long. Should come over and should know. Manoa had been on the phone for hours. And Karen would know it would be me that he's on the phone with. Because, you know, the time difference with Australia is 2 hours, right? 2 hours behind NZ. But Manoa used to faithfully get up and get on his cycle and bike. Or he would go around the infamous Parramatta Park where he would usually drag me to walk around, and I hated it because, you know, unlike him now, I'm not into fitness like him and Uda. Like, you know, I'm not a blimmin' fanatic. They are, you know, and I'm proud of them. But I was proud of my brother because he knew he had diabetes, changed the way he ate, well, sometimes. You know, he'd have the odd Coke here and there. But generally, he looked after what he ate. And I thank Karen for that. You know, these guys don't even have sugar in their kitchen. I was like, what the F? I was like, oh my gosh. Oh gosh, I should have done a disclaimer or a pre-warning. Because I did say that I had a potty mouth, didn't I? But yeah, I'm trying my hardest not to, but that's the way me and my brother communicated, you know. And he would always see the good in people. It used to irritate the hell out of me. You know, it'd be like, Helene, but he would give me food for thought, and I'd go away after our conversation and really think about it, and he would make me think. He would make me think about what I had just said, and I would always come around and bring him back up and go, oh, you know what, Manoa, you were so right. You know, my brother didn't attend church all that much, but I tell you, my brother was Christian at the heart. He had the most generous, loving heart, I have to say. Out of the 5 of us, Manoa was the most generous. I used to think I was, you know, I'd like to think I was, you know, for everything. The best singer, you know, yeah. Anyway, his music, no one could top his voice, man. And I remember, I'm going to tell this one story and then I'll finish, I promise. You know, but, you know, if you don't want to, if it's getting tiring and you're like, oh, how boring, well, you know, the doors are on the left and the right. Feel free to get up and go, because I'm saying my testimony for my brother, and if you're sick of it and you're tired, I mean, you know, I'm not very good at being tactful, so this is the way I say it. Yeah, please leave if you don't want to stick around. But I'm not finished yet, so I'm going to tell this one story. I remember Manoa, he used to sing around a lot, and he was asked to sing in this band or something or other, and he went to the sound check, and when he sung, because his voice was so powerful, you know, these guys that he was singing with, that were singing along with him, they were like complaining, going, oh, he's too loud, you know. And Manoa was like, no, I'm not too loud. The sound engineer is the one that, you know, has the control, you know, to put it down or adjust the, you know, balance of my mic. And so, you know, the sound guy turned it right down, and Manoa was still louder than them without the volume. And so, you know, that's just portraying how powerful my brother's voice was. And although I like to say that I had the best voice in our family, nah, it was my brother. It was my brother Manoa, and unfortunately, the sound of the Tuitama family is never, ever, ever going to be the same without my brother. You know, it's missing something. And that's just the truth on the roof. Dr. Ruth. Oh man, I'm rambling now. This is what I didn't want to do, but you know what? I didn't want to write it out. I just wanted it to freestyle, you know, and I've done that. I love my brother. Have a good journey, brother. You know how much I mean to you. Karen, Keely, my deepest condolences. I wish I could be there to comfort you. Keely, I wish I could be there to hold you. You and Karen, your mum. Bro, Manuia Laumalanga, I love you from the bottom of my heart. Fa.
Just
How's everyone out there? Okay, wake up, wake up. Okay, now the siblings are going to sing. And we always talked about if one should die, that there was a part missing. Well, Mano can sing all our parts. And we don't have Whitney Houston and Michael Jackson with us. It's just me, Stephen, and Adrian. So I said, look, we can do it. We'll just sing, even though, you know, they're not here. But hey, lucky we have our kids, because thank goodness they have, they're going to carry our legacy. So we're going to sing the song that we always sang. I was going to ask my cousin to come and play, but I won't pressure her, Sana. So we're going to get up. I'll play. It's all right. I can play. Come, we're standing together. Yeah, so this is family. And we've sung and taught the kids the song because we sang it when we had a family group, which was family. It was Lainga, Sana, Jerry, William, Ramon, Raymond that's passed away, William, Roseanne, can't forget Roseanne, and we used to have a family group. So this song that we're going to sing now, Heleni's not here, Mano's not here, but they're going to help us with our sibling song, and I'm going to play.
I thought you would go, then come back home. I thought the cold would leave by summer, but my quiet nights will be spent alone. You said there would be warm love in springtime. That is when you started to be cold. I never dreamed you'd leave in summer, but now I find myself all alone. You said then you'd be the life in autumn. Said you'd be the one to see the way. No, I never dreamed you'd leave in summer, but now I find my love has gone away. Why didn't you
Cause you're the best thing that ever happened to me. Ever happened to me. Ever happened to me. Sister Darkland! Thank you. Tell me you love me, and so I let it be. And so I let it be.
Over time, I've been building my castle of love. just for two. Though you never knew you were my reason, I've gone much too far for you now to say that I've got to throw my castle away over dreams I have picked out a perfect come true. Though you never knew it was of you I've been dreaming. The Sandman has come from too far away for you to say come back some other day. And though you don't believe that they do come true. For did my dreams come true when I looked at you? And maybe too if you would believe, you too might be overjoyed, overloved over me. The heart I have painfully turned every stone.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, buddy.
I would
Thanks,
like
man.
to lead with a song.
Oh, yes.
Song is in order. Tony Branston was able to come here. Come especially tonight to sing with us. Thank you, Tony.
Kikolela Igasasa Kiatula Ngotando Kiatula Kelingilanga Tando Luipusa Chikelele Kulam Shaba Wetu. Es una historia de mañana. Es una historia de amor. Es una historia que amor genera por nuestro mundo. Es una historia de mi corazón. There's songs to make you smile, there's songs to make you sad. But with a happy song to sing, it never seems as bad. To me came this melody, so I've tried to put in words how I feel. Tomorrow will be for you and me. Yeah, I am singing of tomorrow. I am singing of love. I am singing someday love will reign throughout this world of ours. I am singing of love from the heart. Let's all sing someday sweet love will reign throughout this world of ours. Let's start singing a love from heart.
Okay, family, I know it's been a very long night, so I'm just going to get everybody to stand up, have a little stretch. It's been about 2 hours. All right, I want you to turn to your right and massage the person at the back of you. Hey, nah, in front of you. Give a little stretch, say, how's your day going? Where you been? Why you crying so much? Yep, turn around to the other side. Other side there. Massage the other guy, or girl, or whoever's on the other side. Come on, Tussie. Yep, thank you, Tussie. Yep. All right. Yep, thank you. Have a seat. And yeah, we'll just carry on with the rest of our testimonies or morning miles for our family and friends. So I'll just call up Rowan, please. And he'll introduce himself. And also, when you see your name, just come up.
Thanks, mate. Rowan Deanshaw is my name. I'm Manoa's brother-in-law, and thank you, Karen, for the privilege of sharing a few thoughts here this evening. Manoa and I met at Avondale, and way back in the 1980s. And I was thinking about that and listening to thoughts that were shared by people who've already come up, and I just wanted to share with the nephews and nieces that are here who Manoa was a special uncle to you. Many of you will obviously remember Manoa as an older person, but let me assure you that when I knew Manoa at college, he was at the peak of his powers, and he was a sublimely skilled sports person. And there was a band of brothers at college who would often compete in sport against each other. And the funny thing about Manoa, I'm not a basketball player. I never played basketball with Manoa. I've spoken to people who played basketball at college when Manoa was there, and they describe him as the most gifted basketball player that they knew at that time. The funny thing for me was when I would play sport with Manoa, he would typically invite you to play sport where he was fairly confident that he would beat you. And I quickly learnt when playing rugby with Manoa that it was always better to have him running beside you than running towards you. His second into the tackle was something that you wouldn't forget in a hurry. He'd also often invite me to play squash, and the one thing that I was better than Manoa at was running long distances. But he'd often invite me to play squash, and I would always be foolish enough to think maybe today is the day. And he had this habit of dominating the tee in the squash court or the centre of the court, and I just remember running around like a hare as he just leant out and tapped the ball, and working myself up in a sweat, getting more and more frustrated. And it was funny listening to people sharing Manoa's tendency towards anger. And I think it was Stephen might have been sharing about playing 21 in basketball. When I was playing against Manoa, it was often the other way. He would frustrate me to the point where I would get angry. And I just remember that he would chuckle. He would be quietly chuckling to himself as he was tapping this ball around. Manoa was also at college, he was often at the heart of practical jokes. And I was sitting next to Paul before, and I was just remembering some of the practical jokes we played. And there's one that I won't mention because this is being recorded. But Manoa was at the heart of that pivotal practical joke at college, and I can remember him chuckling as he ran off into the night on that particular occasion. Manoa and I connected beyond sport at college, though, when we both fell in love with Lauder girls, and we had the particular nuanced experience of navigating the complexities of being new sons-in-laws at around the same time. And it wasn't without its perils, and we'd often share a laugh together as we reflected on things we could have done differently as John and Lee Lauder adjusted to having sons in their home. One of the Lauder family habits that I personally, because I'm in awe of people who can come up and just sing up the front. I grew up in a family where we would struggle to sing Happy Birthday and hold a note. But one of the Lauder family habits is to sing Grace and to hold hands and sing Grace at mealtimes. And I was way outside of my comfort zone. First of all, to hold hands with people, and then to actually sing. And I talked about this with Manoa, and he would often just give me a little wink, and he would carry the can when it came to singing at those Grace. And His voice was ever present in the life of our family. My wife Leanne and I started our parenting journey ahead of Karen and Manoa. And Manoa was always there singing at dedications, singing at baptisms. You guys have reflected on the fact that he was such a doting uncle, and that was certainly our experience as a family as well. And he had that unique capacity, I think, with his niece and nephew, in our family at least, for them to think that they were the most important person in the world when they were with Manoa. Over the years, Manoa's deep love for Karen and his own daughter was ever present through the influence, was ever present, and it influenced all of the conversations that he's had. The constant references to Keely's achievements and the constant evidence of his affection and deep love for Karen. The fact that his family, both immediate and extended, was at the centre of his life was never in doubt. While Manoa experienced health challenges over the past few years, when we did connect, his genuine interest in my life and the lives of other people, his continuing passion for his family, his sense of humour, his abiding faith, and we talked about that at length as we chatted on the phone in recent months, really defined the quality and depth of his character. In our family, Manoa was a loved husband, a father, a son-in-law, a brother-in-law and an uncle. To me, though, he was my brother. We called each other brother, and that's certainly the place that he holds in my heart. While he rests now and will be missed until we each meet again, I'm already looking forward to hearing his voice. I'm already looking forward to hearing his chuckle. I'm looking forward particularly to seeing that sparkle again in his eye when he's once again surrounded by his family. Until that morning, rest in peace, my brother.
Got a mic here. Which one? My name is Bruce Talmaivao. I've been a long-time friend of Manoa. I mean, the secret's out now. You know that if you know Manoa, if you love Manoa, you have to love his family as well. I had so much to say before I got up here, but now that I'm up here, I've gone blank. So it's sort of like, it's a bit hard. A part of me is gone. Seeing my friend of over 50 years now, we went to primary school together, and from primary school we went to high school. We even worked in insurance down the road. Uda and Manoa worked in the same company, and I worked in the other company, Commercial Union, back in the day. And we often socialised a lot. And then I came here to Australia. Me and Steve flew over for Manoa's graduation. And you know, the rest is history. We basically are still here. We're here to the end. But I honestly didn't believe that it was going to be his end. The day that it happened, September the 17th, was the day a part of me died. If you ever have a friendship with someone, it's like a marriage. You have to work at it. friendship doesn't come just like that. You have to earn it. They have to trust you. You have to trust them. If you have a friend like that, cherish it. Love them through the good and the bad. Because those are the great moments in life. They are my great moments. Every memory I have in my Rolodex of memories, I'll always remember that Manoa enabled me to interact not only with him, his whole family. As you can see with his nephews and nieces, they're all a reflection of Uncle Faesi and Auntie Helen. So their legacy will continue. How important is a friendship? I can't put a dollar value on that. You can't just get friendship like that. And if I was here, if I could talk to Manoa right now, Manoa, you introduced me to your family, your extended family, both on your mum's side and your dad's side, your college friends, your church friends, and I've had some sort of interaction with few people here. Your wife and your daughter. I remember when I first came to Australia and I met Karen for the first time, and we went to their family house. It was me and the boys, Steve and Adrian and myself, and we went for a barbecue at the Lauder's house, and we were having, I think, sausages, and there was one loaf of bread between all of us. Come on, Mr. Lauder, one loaf of bread? I mean, all the islanders going, oh my God, they must have hated Jews. But all the Palangis going, they can feed 4 families. That was my first introduction to the Lauder family. I think he got the message, but we had plenty of salad. And, you know, it was lovely to meet Karen. She was so different to Manoa. She was calming. She was the calm one between them. And, you know, you can see it in Keely as well. You know, I thank her. She put up a lot with Manoa, both good and bad. Manoa loved her with a passion. You know, I met so many people through Manoa. I was like the fly on the wall. I saw everything. I saw all the dramas. I saw all the arguments. I was there. Everything that these guys talked about on this stage, I was there. I got a free ticket. And you know, to be able to be a part of his life, their lives, is a privilege. Look, I wasn't scared to be a part there and to see all that stuff. I relished it. I thank God that he allowed me into his life like that. Very few people have the opportunity to see that. So if you have a friend across the road, just like me, because he was my neighbor, and you have that special friendship in your life, cherish it. Because the longevity of it is forever. And to this day, I bury my brother. But a piece of my heart, the hole in my heart, the piece that's missing, is in there. I thank you for listening to me. God bless. and may you all be safe.
I'm not sure how I'm going to go doing this. I was Manoa's skinny African friend. And he was my big Samoan friend. We met at Avondale College, and it was music that drew us together. It was more music that drew me to him, like the voice of an angel. I won't belabor that point, everyone's made that point, but I could just listen to him sing for hours. Standing next to him and singing, Paul, you'd know this just made you feel like a better singer, you know. But he used to tease me about my singing because I couldn't do the African licks and stuff, you know. So I played in one of my first recordings that I did. I tried to do a Stevie Wonder song. And till you know, the very last time I've seen Manoa, he still rags on me about how I just couldn't do Stevie Wonder. To a Tama family, I feel extremely privileged and honoured with this opportunity to talk. Just to talk about how Manoa touched my life, and that's pretty well all I want to share. He was a man who just loved his family. He absolutely loved his family. Tina, Stephen, Adrian, Helene, like, he told me so much about you guys. When he was struggling with you guys, we talk. It was music, it was sport. And I just absolutely, everything that Manoa did, he was good at. Absolutely everything. I've not met a more talented person. And it frustrated me. Because he had so much to give, you know. And he was a sponge. He'd watch someone play the piano. Next day he'd be doing the same thing, you know. He was a sponge, listening to people, learning from people. Just incredible capacity, you know, to give. I like the idea of him chuckling when you're trying to get the basketball from him while playing squash. I thought I'd introduce him to golf because there was something that I could beat him at, but he did that well too. I think the only game that we were ever even on was chess, and then most of the games ended with Manoa just tossing everything. He was very competitive, very competitive. He challenged me to be a better person. You know, we spoke about everything. And I particularly remember the time he was going through learning counselling, psychology counselling, you know. And all of a sudden, he was just challenging me, you know. To be honest, to be the best I can be. Spiritually too. So for me, having a friendship with Manoa brought the best out of me. And he just had the talent of bringing the best out of people. He became part of our family in some sort of way. Whenever Mom talks to me, she asks, how's Manoa? When I shared with her Manoa passed away, she just couldn't believe it. Alex rang me from the States. He loved Manoa. Jolene loved Manoa, you know. Then as we shared parenting, you know, I've got a 18-year-old and a 20-year-old. So we spoke a lot about being a dad to a girl. And Kili, he wanted so much for you. Just so much for you. Karen, he adored you. He always thought you were too good for him. Yeah. And I guess that's the most inspirational part for me, is just his love for others, his giving. Just incredible. There's something that might have been unique with my friendship and Manoa's, is I felt really safe with him. Not because he was physically bigger than me, but I just felt safe. I felt safe, I felt cared for. And I thank you.
Good evening, family. My name is James Clay. For those who don't know me, I'm Ross's husband, the bag carrier or the keyboard setup guy or whatever needed at the time, and good friend to Manoa. I first met Manoa in Australia. We were brought together by our dear brother, Mr. Uda Roberts, and it didn't take long at all for me to get to know Manoa and a lot of things we have in common. We are both firstborn generation in Aotearoa because our parents travelled to give their children a better life. We are both from a family of 5 siblings, 3 boys and 2 girls. And we both think we're the best looking brother in the family. Well, that's what we think, yeah. But, and one of the things that we wish we didn't have in common, that we were both brokenhearted, that we both lost our parents at a very young age. And as if you think that's not enough, we were both born in the month of May and in the year 1967, so I'm actually just 3 days older than Manoa. Yeah, there must have been something in the water back in 1967 because, like all other similarities, we had minds that didn't rest, and we always both wanted to know about the other and would share ourselves and want to learn about others all the time. And that's what sort of, I think, drew our bond very close. What I have learned, sorry, I'm not a good speaker publicly, so I apologize if I'm a bit shaky with it all. My time knowing Manoa and his family has taught me of what I always felt was missing in my own family, was to see that the strength of his siblings, the love, the care, the joy of music, because that's another thing we had in common, was that even, like listening to Stephen and Adrian, when we would have arguments in our family, the one thing that seemed to override whatever was going on was if there was a song or music, something we shared, you would put aside, and that feeling of the music that you shared always overrode the feelings that might have been hurting you about someone else in the family. Yeah, so sorry, one of the times that stands out for me the most, sharing with Manoa, one that, it's sort of hard for me to consume some of it because we've been away from the time before we saw Manoa to know he was sick in any way. And so my mind still just sees the Manoa that was fit, healthy, everything. And then so much has happened since we've been away, it's sort of hard to fathom. And to be at this stage where we are now, it's quite mind-blowing for myself and Roz, because we don't have any other thoughts of Manoa, of seeing him not well or anything. And then it's just like now, it's like we left Australia thinking we're always going to have more conversations with that guy and share more and learn more and love more together. So we had so many deep and meaningful conversations about anything and everything, and we would laugh and cry together. And yeah, we would say to each other, you know, even when we had tears, we would say, bro, hard as nails. And so that was the crazy thing, is just leading up to this, we were conversing with Manoa, and we'd been informed that he was going for another surgery. And that's how he replied to us. The last conversation we had on text was that, don't worry about me, bro, because I fight everything as if I'm hard as nails. He never forgot all those talks we'd had. And so, yeah, it's crazy. But in finishing, I just want to say, Karen and Keely and all of the Tuitama Ainga whānau, thank you for sharing Manoa with us. We are honoured to have shared a beautiful friendship with him. He's enriched our life and at so many levels. We miss him deeply, and he remains in our heart always.
Sorry, I normally speak off the cuff, but James and I have been travelling. He alluded to the fact that we last time we saw Manoa in person was probably about 16 years ago when we lived here. So we've just got here from London yesterday, so apologise for us writing everything down, but we didn't want to forget anything. Anyway, for those who don't know me, my name's Rosalind Clay. And it's a blessing for us to be here to celebrate and honour the life of our brother Manoa. You know, my family's history with the Roberts Tuitama Ainga goes back a long way, actually before I was born, to the village of Whaleasi'u, via Ponsonby and Newland SDA churches, in New Zealand, from my grandparents Luatua Nu'u and Saufa'i Saoni, and the late Pastor Tau and Langa Saoni. There are many of our family members in New Zealand who have a strong history and connection with the Tuitama Ainga. And even though they couldn't be here, I know they all send their love, from our Dexter Air family to Uncle Paul and Fiona, Siope, Uncle Tim and Naomi, Uncle Bale, Uncle Mike, Saoni and Afira, and to my mum, Seuli Loama, who's here with us this evening. You know, as a kid in the church, I used to sing a lot, and there were few families who were prominent musically in the church, and the Tuitamas were the kingpins of that musical landscape. They were formidable, inspiring, strong, united, and our paths crossed frequently, sharing our musical gifts with Sister Tina. Over the years, we've done so much music together, Stephen, Age, Sister Helene, but it wasn't until James and I moved to Australia in 1999-2000 that our friendship, in particular with Manoa, grew into something very special. Manoa became like a big brother and a confidant for me and James. You know, when we think of Manoa, all the best teaching attributes and qualities come to mind, He was, and you've all mentioned it tonight, but I'll just repeat it again, just in case you've forgotten. He was a great debater, inquisitive mind and spoke his mind, an interrogator of truth or perceived truth. He was well read. He was a music lover. And you know what? He even gigged with us in a band that we played in here in Sydney for a few months. I don't know if the family know that, but he got up and he would sing with us. And man, he was a lead singer that we'd never had heard before. And a lot of the people that came to those gigs, you know, they're not church people. And they would frequently comment going, who's that guy, man? Who's that big guy at the front that's singing? He said, that's Manoa Tuitama, man. He's the man, you know. So, you know, he took that ministry from within the SDA church out there, and it was powerful and it impacted on people's lives. He was an impeccable listener. He was fearless on the dance floor. And at concerts, man, we went to so many concerts here, We'd go to, say, George Benson. And you felt for the audience because Manoa would be singing and dancing louder than George. And Uda and I were going, man, calm down. But Manoa, man, he doesn't care, man. That was him. But yeah, you know, he loved people and he loved his family. He loved you guys. And then there was Manoa, the mocker. So that tuitama sense of humour that we've heard tonight, you know, Manoa was the epitome of that as well, you know. And I wasn't sure if I'm going to share the story, but I will, seeing as we're standing here in this church, Borkham Hills Church. So when we lived here, Manoa asked us one day, he said, oh, look, you know, I'm doing Sabbath divine service, we're having the special praise service, and I want you to come and sing, Ros. And, you know, Matthew and Aniva were coming down from Brisbane. We had Brucey, Roberta, Jason in the house, James, Uda, Belinda. He says, all right, family, get together. We're going to sing this praise service. He said, oh, okay, then cool. Yeah, sweet. So we had our practice on Friday night, you know, those last minute ones, as you do. And we did more laughing than practicing, and it's all good. So, you know, come Sabbath. And so come that at the end of their practice, we were like, oh, what's the dress code? You know, we all know, right? We're asofiko. But this guy over here, he's not. And he goes, Manoa, bro, just want to double check with you, man. What do I have to wear? And Manoa goes, oh, bro, just smart casual, man. Smart casual, you know. That's what we're all going to wear. And, you know, when he says smart casual, we all know what smart casual means. Asofiko terms means like this, you know. You're like, you're not over the top. You're not, you know, like you're going to the gym, but you're in the middle there, somewhere safe. So that's how we all arrived on Sabbath day. And James turned up, you know, basketball shoes, jeans, and a hoodie. And
Just ready for church.
And so Manoa turns to James and goes, James, I said smart casual, man. Not this. What is this, man? Bro, James, mate. And James was so embarrassed, man. But he got up here and he sang with us, man. And, you know, that's why he's dressed like this tonight. Because he still hasn't learned his lesson. He hasn't listened to you, Manoa, but I'm still working on it, brother. Maybe one Sabbath he'll get it right. So, yeah, no, you know, I think of our time with Manoa and our little gang here in Aussie when we lived here. And we're a little kind of a weird group of misfits, you know. So one of the things we shared in common with Mans was that we were all a bit odd or rogue in some way. Ayuts. We approach things, you know, traditional cultural norms, a little bit different in our own families. So I guess that's, you know, that out-of-the-box thinking probably made our bond a little bit special. And there were so many heart-to-heart conversations and discussions that we had over the years. And even since leaving Australia, that kept us close, kept him checking in on us and us on him. He was so unique in every way, and he never lost sight of what and who was real to him. And even though the last few years of not feeling well, his positivity and determination to get his health back on track was inspirational beyond words. Yeah. So when we received the news last week, we were stunned, heartbroken, and even now since arriving here yesterday morning, we're still waiting and looking up for Manoa to sit down at the table with us and start some philosophical or mocking session with us, you know, or at us. And yeah, it's just not the same coming back to Sydney and not having him here to speak with and share with. So to you, Karen, Keely, the Tuitama Ainga, all our love. To our brother Manoa, we love you, we miss you. Only you could bring us all together like this, bro. And we'll see you on that beautiful morning. I'm not 100%, but one of the many beautiful conversations that we had this week before heading down was with Sister Lanes in New Zealand, who requested a song. She wanted me to sing a song on behalf of her for Manoa. So I'm going to try and do the song, but I'm going to need a bit of help, hey? And I'm going to ask, please, for Tina, Age, Auntie Phyllis, if you could please come up. You know the song, don't worry. Berta, Jace, Bruce, come and help James, please. Because he can't do it. Backups by himself. Anyone else who wants to come? Neva, come on, Matthew, Uda. You know who you are. Larice, you know the song, darling.
Let me just find my spot on the stage.
By the way, who's it, Stephen? You said you had a practice this morning, eh? You had a practice this morning with your family? Don't worry, bro, we haven't had any practice. So we're just going to wing this. Auntie Lily.
How awesome was that? To Rose, I'm like you, I was actually miming just there because I'm not a singer. Listen, my name is Matthew Faultua. I'm really deeply honoured to have the privilege on behalf of the family to speak on our brother Manoa. My connection with Manoa goes right back to childhood. Our dads were best friends. We grew up in the church. We would march at Pathfinders for 2 hours straight every Sunday, and we would both sing in the youth choir. But the other thing we also done is we played a lot of basketball together. Whether it was a scrimmage at Boys Town, church games at Balmoral, or playing with the Newland Saints, we would always be on the same team, and I hated it. The reason being is Manoa would never pass you the ball. He was probably the greediest player ever. It's been 35 years, and the pain and suffering of him not passing the ball is still raw. In fact, the only time Manoa passed the ball was during the warm-ups. He would dribble from one side of the court and take on all 5 of the opposition players, and we would be standing there open and unmarked, calling out for the ball, and he would still shoot the ball. But that was Manoa, and at training there was there's a drill called the suicides. Adrian used to make us run suicides. And for those who didn't know what the suicides were, it was a drill that you just run back and forth on the court. There was no ball involved, just running. And I hated that too. But then it dawned upon me one day that the reason why we're running all these suicides during training is it was preparing us for the game. Because during the game, that's all we done. We just ran up and down the court and didn't touch the ball, and Manoa would shoot all the shots. But yeah, that was Manoa. Never passed the ball. But to his credit, as we got a little bit older, he would eventually pass the ball. And I do thank you, Manoa, for passing the ball finally. I have so many memories with Manoa. We went to Avondale College together, and he got me my first job at the Hyatt Hotel there in Auckland. I had a job. I worked at McDonald's and I worked at Food Town, but when I worked at Hyatt, Manoa got me that job. I felt like, oh man, this is it. I'm a successful man. Walked into the hotel, and I worked with Manoa for 2 years there. It was great times. And he was a close friend, and he became my personal psychologist and life coach. The problem was, I never asked him to be that. He volunteered. So every time I meet up, as the story's been told, he would always probe and ask you questions. And I hated that too, because he would really get in. Most normal conversations were like, hey, how you doing? How's things? How's work? How's life? Just keep it very light. That's not Manoa. That's not a normal conversation. He would go 5 levels deeper and really ask you as a person. He was genuinely interested in what you were doing, what's your life story, any issues in your life. And if you let a little inch into that and give a sort of a weak answer, that was it. It was all over. He'll be in there and interrogating you. And I always felt like I was on an episode of Dr. Phil with Manoa, because every time he was there, he was really, just there talking to me. I've got a lot of stories to say, but I'm just mindful of the time. But in closing, it's those deep and meaningful conversations are the things that I will miss the most about Manoa. Because Manoa genuinely cared for you, and he was genuinely interested
and what you are doing in your life. Were there any problems? Let's talk about it, you know. And that, to me, is what true friendship is. And I guess that is the legacy and influence that Manoa will have on me. So on behalf of the Fautua family, our bonds go way back, as I said, to childhood. We thank you, Manoa. We thank you for all your love, your loyalty, and your support over the years to not only me, but also my family. And, you know, to Karen Keeley and the rest of the Tuitama family, whamanuele tua, mo outou umalawa. I nei teimi whanau noa, whaftai, whaftai, whaftai.
I don't know why I have this diary because I'm not going to follow it. But can you hear me? Hi everyone, my name is Phyllis Singini. I'm one of Manoa's many cousins. I just want to thank Keely and Karen and my cousins for inviting me to speak about my relationship with Manoa. We come from a very, very big family, the Roberts Tuitama family. Manoa was always my baby cousin, so when I left New Zealand around 17, Manoa would have been about 11. So, and then when I finally came to Australia in 81, Manoa was at Avondale College, so we used to meet a lot at family gatherings and, you know, things like that. But it wasn't until I started working, we worked together with the corrective services that we got to know each other on a different level. Our relationship, we weren't just cousins anymore, we were colleagues. And I just want to share with you that I was so proud of Manoa, and it was just the way he worked with people. He cared about people, and that was the difference. He always wanted to know what was underneath. So sometimes when I got stuck in interviews, when Manoa was working, I'd always ring him up and say, "Excuse me, Manoa, can you please come to room so-and-so?" And he'd come along and, he just had a way with working with people. And then would leave the interview room and I'd say, "Thanks, cuz." And he goes, "No worry, you got this." But I can tell you, wherever Manoa worked in the department, he just left. Everyone talked about him. They couldn't get over how inspiring he was. He spent some time as a trainer at the academy, and the trainees would come back to different offices, and the ones that would come back to Mount Druitt office just couldn't speak highly enough of him. He was so inspiring, and that's the person that he was. Just one little story. Manoa did have a bit of a temper. No, I won't call it temper. He was quite passionate. And he was passionate in what he believed in. And like you said, speak your mind, stand up for yourself. So, you know, Manoa's voice was always heard in staff meetings and things like that. I've got a couple of colleagues at the back that would vouch for that. And Patrick just said, "Remind him on that incident at work." So I hope he doesn't mind. Sorry, Manoa. But just one day, Manoa spoke his mind with our manager. And yes, it got a bit uncomfortable. But that was the first time you could hear a pin drop in the office. All of a sudden, everybody was busy typing and staring at their computers. Everyone didn't know what to say, so I said, "Come on, cuz, let's go downstairs." But the good thing with Manoa, even though he had his disagreements, he always came back and he always talked through it. So he always had that respect. He would agree to disagree, but there was always respect in how he treated people. So, yep, he was my younger cousin, but boy, I learnt a lot from this man. So I will miss him dearly. At work, we have so many photos everywhere, and on my whiteboard, there's a photo of Karen and Manoa and Karen that's on our whiteboard that's been there since Manoa was working there. So when I went back to work last week, just the atmosphere in the office was just solemn. People just came up to me and they couldn't stop crying because of what Manoa meant to them. So, yeah, it's going to be difficult. You'll probably meet a lot of Manoa's colleagues tomorrow. So they've been texting and ringing saying when's all the details for the funeral. So I just want to say thank you very much, and I look forward to meeting Manoa one day. And I love you all, my cousins, Keely and Karen. Where's Karen? Karen. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Auntie Phyllis. See, just like her, speech was short and sweet. Okay, so there's just a little switch up in the program. And before Uncle Stella comes up and does his 2-minute speech, we just want to call upon a very special friend. We didn't know he was going to be here tonight, so I'd like to call upon Paul, please. After Komaka.
Well, this is an unexpected privilege and honour to be able to speak today. And I'm sorry I haven't come as prepared as the other people would, but there's so many precious memories in my heart that I would love to share to honour our friend today. Well, in 1988, we'd already been at Avondale College for a few years, and Manoa burst onto the scene, and I mean that quite literally. And he uncovered some things in me that I didn't know about. I'm half Tongan, and I really haven't been brought up that way, or so I thought. But when Manoa came, he made me realise that my father had raised me as a Polynesian, as a Tongan. When I saw the food culture, when I saw the generosity, he was generous to his own hurt, that boy. I realised that I actually was Tongan. He would hug me cheek to cheek. This is difficult for Australians, isn't it, Randall? He was so emotional. He would cry. He would laugh. And so he uncovered things about my culture that I didn't realise. And after he'd been there for a few months, he was very musical, as we know, and he said, "Oh, listen, I've got to do an item. You come and sing with me." I'm like, "I don't sing." And looking at the colour of my skin, he assumed that I did, and then he dragged me in there and we sang. And I realised that I was musical. And we went on to have the most blessed time. We had a quartet. That was Randall, Manoa, and a Fijian boy, Danny O'Neill. And we created some of the music that's most precious to me of everything that I've ever done. And Randall, I'm sorry to say, bro, that what was a quartet is now a trio. But the day is coming when we will sing again. The other thing that I realised is, Rowan will testify, that when we went to school together, only the girls played basketball. And when I went to college, I just happened to fall into a group of friends, and all of them were on the A squad. And I'd never played basketball, and there's just no shortcuts. And Manoa could see how desperate I was to learn this game. And he gave me every morning at 6 a.m. for months and months and months. And he said, "Paul, what do you want from the game?" And I said, "Well, everyone else has been playing juniors. You know, they've come all the way through. I'm never going to make it. If I could just make A grade by the time I finished college." He goes, "You'll be there next semester," which I was. But it wasn't because of me. It was because of the time that he invested in me. And he taught me how to play basketball, the fundamentals, how to dribble. I mean, that boy had handles, AJ. If anyone could steal the ball off Manoa, it wasn't they stole it just because he hit his knee. He could hold that ball. But he taught me the fundamentals of basketball, how to dribble, how to contain play, how to play at the post, how to use your left hand, how to shoot. That boy was so composed. But it's the music that is most special to me, and maybe God put the seeds there. But they were watered and they germinated under his influence. And his legacy will live on through me and through all of the other people that he awakened musically. And I can say, and I'm grateful to God for this, I've gone on to use that gift that he awakened in me to run choirs and all sorts of musical programs, which is really living the legacy that he created. Now, there's a saying, and you may have heard it, says that only the good die young. And I am so grateful for the blessed hope. I'm so grateful for the fact that we know where Manoa will spend eternity. And maybe in mercy, God has sustained and prolonged our lives because we're not ready. And so I've made a commitment today. I've been so moved by the messages of hope and encouragement from Manoa. I've made a commitment that I'm going to see him again. And I know that on that day he'll be looking for you as well. There's just one other story I want to tell you very quickly. He was a prankster. He was the life of the party. He was a character. You know, we would sing at church at Avondale College and they'd put the names up on the screen. And these visitors would be there. And so my father went to Avondale College, years ago. And so people would invariably come down the front and they'd come down and they'd put their hand on Manoa's shoulder and they'd say, "Which one of you is Paul Fua?" Well, he would say he was. "How's Cliff? How's Judy?" And he would have a 5-minute conversation with them. Honestly letting them think that he was Paul Fua. Another day there was some cheeky first years came to college and they want to get in and have some fun. And they got him into their room and they had some chips and dip out. And they said, "Hey Manoa, we're having a party, come in and have some chips." And so he puts a chip in there and into the dip and he puts it into his mouth and all of them just start killing themselves laughing. It's like, there's something going on here. Well, it turns out that it was cat food. And he knew, and they're like killing themselves laughing, and he was never ever going to show his disgust. So he goes, "No, I eat cat food all the time." Has another one, leaves the room. It was only a matter of days before those boys got tied up to trees out the back and covered in cow manure from the dairy. So, Karen and Keely, I just want to thank you for sharing Manoa with us. It was such a privilege to see him in hospital after he'd had a stroke. And when I got there, everybody warned me. They said, "Listen, he doesn't, he's still recovering memory and he's still not well. He won't know who you are." And I went in and it was quite an emotional scene to see, my friend in bed. And he opened his eyes and he looked up and he said, "Paul Fua." And he put out his hand and we hugged and cried and talked. And after a little while he said, "So how do I know you, Paul?" I said, "We went to college together. We sang in a quartet." Now they get this quartet back together every 10 years or so. And the last time we did it, they filmed it and they put it on YouTube. So I found it on my phone and I played it to him there, and we just held hands there and watched ourselves singing with tears running down our faces. And I look forward to the day when all of us can sing like him and we'll have the privilege of singing around the throne of God.
My name's, if you don't know me, I'm Maika Tuitama Roberts, and I'm Manoa's first cousin. And you may not know this, but in my generation, there weren't that many boys. There were a lot more girls. In my family, 6, and some of the others 5, 6. And so us cousins were like brothers because there was a lot less of us boys than the girls. So we all grew up together. The fond days for me when I was young, and it just reflects on what I see here with the family, is the Tuitamas coming around on Friday night, hanging around the piano, and we're just all singing. Well, we were singing in the background. Uncle Faesi and the brothers and others were singing up the front around the piano. But I look around today and just love seeing that in the next generation and even the grandkids. And I just know our parents would be smiling down on us to see that the family, even though second cousins, third cousins, fourth cousins, fifth cousins, have put in a lot of effort, including Mano, to make sure we still stick together. And it's just great to see that today. As you can see, I don't have the stature and the size of my cousins, and I thought I found the secret. I thought Mano was hiding it from me, Steve, AJ. And one Friday night, we were visiting our grandmother that was at Whanuu, that was at Uncle Faisi's place. And I walked in to, I don't know whether it was Steve, AJ's or Mano's room, and when I opened the door, there was this big hole in the wall. And there was gyprock there, but it was all missing. I found out the boys were eating it. So either they weren't fed enough, or they found the secret recipe for size and height. So I tried that for a few weeks, but it didn't work for me. It worked for them. So I'm very proud of my cousins. I'm very proud of, and I celebrate not just Mano, but I know he would love to celebrate Helene, Tina, Steve, AJ, their singing voices, their talent, not only, and Udo and I were talking about this the other day, just the talent that God has given them in many, many areas. And I know their parents would be looking down that they are still using that talent in the right way. Mano's about 7 years younger than me, but I graduated from college. He came over and spent a lot of time with me in Sydney. Even though I was his older cousin, I tried to be his mentor. The banter we had back and forwards, it wasn't like he was respecting me as an older cousin. In fact, he was challenging me on a lot of things. And I used to stay with Philip and Ramon. Oh, sorry, he changed his name to Ramon. I have to say it right. And just the banter we had with each other. And out of all of them, they were all younger than me. Mano was the hardest to challenge. I never tried to show that he had the upper hand, but the competitive spirit of Mano and the way we bantered each other, pushed us each other in our sports and our academics and other areas. Just keeping it short because a lot of people have talked about Mano, but a couple of things that I saw with Mano was just his ability to build rapport with people. His singing was one thing, his ability athletically was another, but his ability just build rapport if he wanted to. If you were his enemy, one of the guys on our basketball team, for some reason, some of you may know him, so I won't say his name because he's probably watching. Just, I don't know what, they were always at it. And we were on the same team. And Mano would just block him out, give him a few injuries here and there. Just, I don't know why, but that's just Mano. But I try to mentor him in the right direction. And I do remember when I was living in Japan, Mano was in Korea and he came across for Korea for about a week. And, you know, with the Japanese, you got to slowly build the relationship. It takes time. And so I was explaining this to Mano that, you know, it took me months, years to build this relationship. So I invited him to a staff party, and it was with karaoke and that. Mano got up the front. He was about the fifth song. They would say, can you sing? No, it's okay, it's okay. Got up the front, and then for the next 2 hours, Mano was the flavor of the day. And for like the next month, my students kept saying, where's Mano? He's gone back to Korea. I'm here. I'm your teacher. But it was all about Mano. And I just saw there his ability to entertain, build relationships, something that he had. And just one other thing, the banter continued until he met Karen. And then I realized that things had changed. And Mano became a lot more philosophical. And we started to have, rather than banter at each other, we started to talk a lot more. And I could see he was a changed man there. Karen, thank you very much. And Keely, he loved you dearly. And a lot of the conversations, I'm having 2 daughters, he would ask me, what's the magic? And I'm saying, I don't know, Mano, you're on your own on this one. You and Karen, work it out. But he was so proud of you. And I just thank you for that opportunity, Karen, Keely, and you know we're there for support or anything you need from us. And we love Mano dearly. And there's a big hole in my heart. And I'm looking at a lot of the Ponsonby church members or their kids, and I'm saying Mano was just added to the list of people. Everyone's on a different spiritual journey, but one day we'll meet again. That is part of my plan for my father, for my uncles, and now for Mano, is that glorious day will happen and we'll meet him again. Thank you.
Ua vale la loe pe i ole upu I le whe pō. Mai ua le tua fo I le vai a mana. E pe i o ia upu a Samoa. Mai au te loa ua vela le fala. I le mamalu o le awhia I le nei a fiafi. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep it brief. In saying that, they say that you leave the best till last. But I have another story for you. For those of us who attended primary schools in Samoa, if your name is at the bottom of the list, then that means you have the lowest score of the whole class. Whichever way, I'm content to take it. I also have a disclaimer to make. What I'm about to say sounds familiar to you because we've had so many speakers before me. And I was told very late last night that I had to say something today. So this morning about 5:30 I woke up because I didn't want to come here and make up stories about my nephew. I want to be frank. I want to be honest with you. I want to give you my honest opinion of my nephew, Mano. So, good evening at Talofalava. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Fa'alotos Talavala'am, uncle to Manoa on his mother's side. I was asked to say a few words on behalf of the side of our family, and it is my great pleasure to do so. And before I do that, I would like to acknowledge the presence of many friends and families who are here this evening. I know many have come from afar to lend your support, to show your support, especially to Karen and Keely, and also for the two families. Feel rest assured that your kindness and message of support have brought warmth to our hearts at this time. And as we celebrate Manoa's life, we say thank you to all of you. May I also acknowledge the presence of my older sister, big sister to Manoa's mum, Auntie Susanna Minoi, who is here with us today. Despite her health conditions, she flew down from Brisbane to make sure that she won't miss this very day and this moment. So how can you compact a whole life into 3-4 minutes? Impossible. For me, and I know it goes for most people, the loss of Manoa hits me hard in the fact that he left us so young, still young, with so much more to be fulfilled. And merely by observation this evening, Manoa will be sorely missed by many people. I came to know my nephew as a very young man before he reached his teen years. Manoa was always happy to express what he thinks and what he believes. In the altercation, he was steadfast and perhaps forceful in making his point, no matter if anyone agrees with him or not. He was a stubborn and feisty young fella. What he thinks about God, family, and life in general, that was his domain and nobody else. Manoa was not the athletic type like Stephen and Adrian, but that doesn't mean that he wasn't the competitive type. He knew that if you can't beat them, you got to join them. I remember one occasion when Stephen, Adrian, Manoa, and I were practicing a song to sing at the South Auckland Samoan Church concert. You know the song, You Gotta Do Right. Ba-bow, bow, bow, ba-bow, bow, bow. While he and Adrian were having an argument trying to work out who's going to sing first and second tenor, he came to the kitchen and I said to him, well, you should sing first tenor because Adrian can't reach the note. He had a few of those the night before. Manoa just turned to me and he said, don't worry, Uncle. I can sing all the three parts. That means first tenor, second tenor, and baritone. But he can't do mine. He also thought that he had the best look out of Stephen and Adrian, three of them. I know Stephen is okay with that, but not sure about H. Manoa had a vision of what he wants for his future and for himself. As a result, he set out to convince his parents to send him to Avondale College so he can be the first in his family to get a university degree. Like the rest of his siblings, Manoa was musically talented. Unfortunately, I won't be able to sing the song that we prepared with my niece to sing tonight because I was told there was no time. But before I finished, let me quote from Revelation 21, 3 and 4. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, look, God's dwelling place is now among his people, and he will dwell with them. They will be his people, and he will be their God. He shall wipe away every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death, or mourning, or crying, or pain, for the former things have passed away. To Karen, Kelly, friends, and families, Manoa is now asleep until the resurrection morning, when we shall all be together again. God is promising new life to all those who love him. Hold on. Karen, hold on. Keely, hold on. Like I said, we prepared a song, and because we're not going to sing it, I was going to invite Eleni to come and sing the song with me. I'm going to, because like I said, I woke up very early this morning reflecting and thinking about my nephew. And I know that Manoa is not going to be happy if I don't sing a song. But I'm just going to do very briefly the last verse. I will sing it a cappella. Because the words are very, very important. I thought about it, I thought about this song, and I thought about my dear nephew. Then I shall Let me start again. Then I shall hear the call from heaven's portals. Come home, my child. It's the last mile you must trod. I'll fall asleep and wake in God's new heaven, sheltered safe within the arms of God. So let the storms clouds rise, the dark clouds rise, they won't worry me, for I'm sheltered safe within the arms of God. He walks with me, and naught on earth can harm me, for I'm sheltered in the arms of God. Oh yes, I'm sheltered in the arms of God. Yeah, men vi är där.
All right, family, we're just going to finish off with one of Uncle Manoa's favorite Samoan songs. As a family, we made it. So, like Auntie Elaine said, if you don't be here, just get outside. All right. Can we turn the guitar up, please? Pe solo mai maunga luluina mea uma hu te tele le mamalo le sabi ho te le fefe tautai o elo watua le pule ile ea le sabi le fadua me solo mai maunga luluina me auma o te tele le mamalo le sabi Oh,
May I ask the congregation to please stand with us as I close in a word of prayer. Oh God, you are the King of Lords, the King of Kings, and Lord of Lords. The one who is with us now and will be with us forever. What can we say but to give you praises, to give you honor, to give you glory as we come together as families and friends to celebrate Manoah's life. God, we thank you for our son. We thank you for our brother. We thank you for our uncle. We thank you for Manoah as a husband and as a father. And we thank you for bringing Manoah into our lives as a blessing, a friend to all of us. Father, we ask, as we reflect upon Manoah's life, that, Lord, that you will speak to each and every one of us, our hearts. Lord, thank you for showing us your way through his life. And we want to say thank you and praise you for everything. Manoah has been a blessing to each and every one of us. And Lord, we commit him into your loving hands at this very moment. Bless our gathering here tonight. Take us home safely until we meet again tomorrow. We thank you, we praise you, and we honor you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Before the man will be taken out, we've got something for you to take home to eat. When I say take home, you go home, take your food, and we'll see you another time. But tomorrow, I just want to remind those of you who are able to come tomorrow, it's not a typo mistake. The burial is first at the cemetery at 9:30, and then the service will be here again at 11:30. Okay, so we'll see you later. Go and pick up your supper and go home. Okay.
Good night, everyone.
We'll talk to everyone out there. Okay, thank you.
To